No, I think your hair looks good.
All right, good.
I kind of got us at the nipple level.
Oh, I
right, because I've gotten fatter than shit.
I've lost
put it
some.
on.
I've lost some. I lost a lot. Now I put about 15 pounds on since this summer.
Oh man, I'll tell you
I'm
what,
about to
man.
get back to it.
When I lose, I do really good, but when I kind of one of those weekends where you break it and you start eating,
it goes.
I just go to town, dude. I'm like a shark, man.
Yep.
I just eat everything in sight.
Yep, I hear you.
And I got on this IPA kick this summer, and did you drink many IPAs?
Not many, but there's some that I like.
They're heavy, dude. They got like
heavy, yeah,
they got like more carbs and like one beer than a whole meal, you know.
Yep.
Well, we got this is episode 3. I got Chase Topliff on here, which I've been excited about. We've been talking about it, and Chase, you grew up here in Goodland, right? And then you moved away, right?
I was born here, and then when I was 2, I moved with my mom to Abilene, so that's where I grew up and graduated.
Okay, because I knew your dad was a year ahead of my mom and dad at the high school over here. I think he graduated in 71, didn't he?
74.
Oh, did he?
I think 74.
Okay, so he was a couple years after my parents. Okay, and then you came back and you were actually you were the head coach for the Goodland Cowboy football team for how long?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
Yeah. And what do you teach in high school?
High school business and junior high business, and then took on some junior high social studies this year for the first time. So that's been a nice change of pace, I guess.
How is that, teaching social studies?
I love it, actually. To be honest, those 7th grade kids are a lot of fun, and it's new content for me to teach, and I'm learning more too as I'm trying to teach it. And we also have the coffee shop that we opened a couple years ago.
That's cool. I've been hearing about that.
Yeah, so we're selling, caffeinating our kids up at the school. That's been good. So yeah, they like it.
That's badass, man. I love that. I couldn't imagine. Could you imagine having a coffee shop when you were in high school, dude?
No, actually, to be honest with you, I'll be straight up. Lemonade is our best seller.
Is that right?
The lemonade is by far the best seller. So,
but the teachers got to be all over that coffee, right?
Well, I gave them a 25-cent discount on every cup that they buy. So yeah, we got teachers that are rolling down there quite a few days a week.
Oh man, that is good stuff, man. I love hearing that. And so when you change subjects like social studies, is it kind of hard to learn something new like that, or is it actually kind of grab your interest and it's kind of a lot of fun?
It is a lot of fun. They came to me this summer and said, "Hey, we haven't been able to fill this. Would you be willing to give up your plan period and maybe do this for us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll handle that." And so Mr. Holleran, who's our new principal,
he's kind of a cool cat.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I like him a lot, and he used to teach social studies. Junior
oh, really?
Social.
Okay.
So he sent me all of his stuff, and I did some planning there early at the end of the summer, getting ready for school.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie and say I'm an expert, but a lot of cool things that I'm learning beforehand, and then being able to discuss with the kids. It's been kind of a cool. I guess it kind of re-energizes you a little bit, knowing that you gotta teach something new. Because, it's my 14th year. So
really.
So I've been teaching a lot of the same things for 14 years, and when you throw something new in there, it's kind of neat to learn that and teach kids, and it's just a lot of fun.
The crazy thing about it, I mean, probably somebody out there in the audience is going to go, "Man, this guy's a real dumbass." But social studies, I got to think back, like that's about about different civilizations and stuff like that, or what is social studies?
So
exactly?
I'm teaching Kansas history.
I'm pretty sure I took that in high school.
Yeah, I took a lot of different stuff. I teach a business economics class that they count for a social studies credit, so I get a little of that. But this is Kansas history that I'm teaching to 7th graders. So
that's cool. I like history.
We talked about the different Indian tribes that came here.
I like that stuff.
Now we're going through the different Coronado and
oh yeah,
some of these guys that came in to explore when we just covered when Kansas or the United States bought the Louisiana Territory.
Yeah, I love all that. I actually do. If I'm not watching motocross or motorcycle racing or football, I'm watching History Channel. I love that stuff.
I've never been a history. No, I'm not a history guy.
Yeah.
I remember taking the Modern World Civilization class in college, and I hated it. But I'm having some more appreciation, being able to learn this stuff now. I think as you get older, your interests change a little bit, and
totally.
So that's been cool for me to be able to get through that, and
it's really pretty interesting too, like where we've evolved from as a culture and where all of our ancestry comes from and the things they went through.
Well, especially the things they got now, like that Ancestry.com or whatever, where you can find out what your DNA, all that stuff, just where you come from and things like that.
Have you ever done that?
I have not. I've kind of wanted to, but
my sister for Christmas bought me that 23andMe, but I haven't. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist, so I haven't done the mouth swab yet because I'm worried that they're going to learn a lot about me and they're going to find out all kinds of crazy shit about me.
For sure.
Like I got all these weird things going on with me, so I've been kind of afraid to do it. But Judy's done it, and man, she's had all kinds of freaking people reach out to her from all over the world. I'm not sure who these people are. They just want to reach out to you.
Opens up Pandora's box.
It kind of does. Like, are they truly your second removed fourth cousin, or are they just reaching out to you because you're hotter than hell? You know what I mean?
Well, that could be an issue. I don't know that stuff. That stuff is interesting though to me. They have the technology. I teach a technology class in my 8th grade business class, and how far we've come. Even I graduated high school in 2005, and even how far we've come from 2005 to 2022, almost 2023. You think about, when I tell kids in that chapter we go over about where technologies come from, I play, one of my favorite things to do is play the dial-up internet sound.
Yes.
To these 8th grade kids, because they've grown up with Wi-Fi.
They probably never even heard of that, huh?
No, they hear that dial-up internet deal and they're like, what the hell is that?
Right.
They're freaked out. Like, that's really how I said, yeah. I used to search something up on the internet and hit enter, and you could go to the bathroom, get a drink and a snack, and come back down, and that little flashlight on Yahoo was still going like this,
Right.
Now you hit enter and on Google, and you got 30 million hits.
It's really pretty amazing.
Yeah, so
it's really pretty amazing. And think you have 2 young kids. You have one boy that's a 4th grader, and
my youngest
Jagger's what?
2nd grade.
2nd grade?
Yeah.
Man, they are 2 ornery kids.
They are.
I mean, if you've ever come down Washington Street in the summertime, they're out here on bikes. They're like the captains of the Washington Street BMX club, man.
No doubt.
I don't know how many ramps we built last summer.
I still have one at the house.
Do you?
Yeah, we still got one. That's awesome.
Those little guys are gnarly, dude. They'd get up early. They'd be ringing the doorbell like at 8 o'clock in the morning.
They are not. They don't sleep in. Jagger we didn't have school Friday, and so Jagger was like, "Hey, Dad, can we sleep in the morning?" I said, "Yeah, we get no school, so we can sleep in." And 7 o'clock, he wakes me up and he goes, "Dad, can we go play catch in the yard?" That's just the type of kids they are.
They're great.
They like to be up and doing kids. Things, and so
they're great.
They keep me on my toes. That's for sure.
They got to be making you laugh. Well, you're the dad, right? So like, I'm just the guy that lives on the street that fixes tires, right? So they tell me things they don't tell you.
I'm sure.
But they crack me up. The things these little guys know they're pretty amazing.
Well, again, go back to the technology. They have access to a lot more than what we did when we grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, they know a lot of what's going on. And, anytime you're at a game or whatever, I know Jagger spots you out and he's ready to do some push-ups for you or talk about workout life, and things
Well,
like
he
that.
told me he actually used to work out 5 hours a day, but now he's working out 3 hours a day because it was getting to be too much for him and he was getting too big.
Yeah.
So now he only works out 3 hours a day.
A little bit.
He toned it back a little bit.
Yeah, I've got back in the weight room the last year and a half or so, and they like going with me, and so he's pretty excited about it. He's always asking me, "Dad, do you like my abs? Do you like my six pack that I got going?" So
they're cool kids.
Yeah, they are. they keep me on my toes. That's
I need to get back in the weight room. Judy's always working out and doing yoga in the morning, and the only thing that I lift are 12 ounce. I do a lot of 12 ounce curls, but I need to get back to it because
it's I think the thing that not only is it good for you physically, but I think mentally, health,
absolutely,
it's huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't you feel like too when you cut some weight, like you get a little bounce in your step?
Oh, absolutely. I used to be 320 and
no shit.
Yeah, I used to be about 320 and got down to 220. One of my goals has always been to skydive.
Yeah.
And I know you got to go tandem when you do that, and I was always too big, and you know, I went through a divorce.
They'd have to have one of those military parachutes,
yeah,
like
absolutely,
that drops the tanks off. That's what I'd have to have.
Absolutely.
Right?
You know, I went through a divorce, and that kind of sparked some weight loss, and then I just thought to myself, man, it's time to get healthy, and
yep.
So I did that, and that was my goal, was to get down to 220 so I could hit that.
That's awesome.
That skydive. So
yep.
I did that.
You did, huh?
July 2021.
How was it?
It was the most alive I think I've ever felt.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
I
just felt free.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're training. We get there an hour before. We're training, and they're telling you how to get out of the plane because it's a really small plane. There's another kid there that I didn't know. He was from I did in Abilene, so Fort Riley's 20 miles down the road. He was an Army guy, and he was freaking out the whole
Yeah.
He was like, I got to do this.
He was overthinking it.
I'm freaking out, and you know, we get in the plane, and we've got probably a 5x5 area that 4 of us are crammed into. We're hooked up to each other. It takes about 30 minutes to get up to altitude. And when they said, hey, who's going first, he was closest to the door. So he's like, all right, I'll go first. And that guy had to pretty much drag him out the door. And I couldn't wait to get out the door. It was awesome. I mean, the free fall.
So you were actually looking forward to it.
Oh, man. I wanted to do it my whole life.
Really? Yeah.
So, you know, we flipped out of the plane and free falling, and then you hit that parachute, and then all of a sudden you're just gliding down, looking at God's beauty. You know,
that's awesome.
It was awesome.
And you know, I want to comment on what Chase is saying here. You know, original privateer. One of the things that original privateer stands for are risk takers, getting outside of your comfort zone, adventurers, and free souls, and really that's our whole mantra. Is, you know, I'm 50. Chase is, how old are you, Chase?
36.
Been through a divorce, wanted to go skydive, and he went and did it. And we have different experiences in life that we have to push through, whether it's a divorce, whether it's whatever it is in our life, we have to push through it, and it takes courage to do that. Fear's always going to be there, but it's working and operating in that courage amongst that fear, right, that keeps us going. And that's what original privateer stands for. That's what our brand stands for. Granted, our brand has always been centered around action sports, motocross, surfing, skateboarding, all that, but you know, for us, it's about life, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Our jobs, you know, weight loss, you know, our goals, kids, just pushing forward, you know. And so it was good to hear this. It was good to hear that, you know.
You're right. I can't even express to you enough about that. Is, you know, life throws you curveballs sometimes, you know, and you just got to roll with the punches, you know.
You know what? I don't know about you, Chase, but don't you feel like, I hate it when we take life for granted, right? Because life is so short, right? It was just like my son was here a little while ago, and you and I were out there giggling with him as he headed out to his mom's house after football practice. You know, I don't want to ever take that for granted, because we don't, heaven forbid, you know, I couldn't imagine, you know, not seeing our loved ones, or anything could happen, whether it be me, you, whatever, you know.
Yeah,
we get so busy.
We do. We get busy, and we forget to, you know, maybe we think about the negatives too much.
We really get caught up in stuff,
instead of being thankful for what we have, and you know, got me through my divorce. Is like, you know, it was a curveball. You know, you think your life is going one way, and
yep.
it goes a different way, and you just sit back and think, man, all this has gone wrong. But then you think about it the other way is, I got 2 great kids out of the deal, and I'm happy with my health now because
Right.
I've been focusing more on that, and so you can just focus on the positives. There's always
Exactly.
so much to look positive to instead of thinking about, man, things aren't going right.
Right, and I feel like sometimes even when there's something negative that happens, there's always a positive that comes from it, right?
Learning.
Yes, it sends us down a different direction, and there's so many wake-up calls. And just like you're talking, I'm really commend you, right? Because you were in the process of moving back to your hometown, right? And you elected to stay. And that took a lot of courage, right? You were the head football coach.
Yeah. Yep. And
You were the head football coach, and all of a sudden now you're no longer the head football coach, and you're changing directions, and you're coming back to teach. That took a lot of courage, but there was probably a good reason you did it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd taken a job in Abilene back where I kind of grew up, and our family, we decided to kind of move our family there. Then the marriage fell apart, and I was faced with a tough decision within 10 days of the divorce thing kind of going down, and I just thought to myself, as cool as it would be, probably get a fresh start somewhere. What's best for my kids?
Exactly.
Staying around and trying to be, a positive influence and give them some stability, and that was came down. And I was lucky that our school board was gracious enough to give me my job back, and I'd already resigned, and
Right.
and so
Right.
it's worked out really well. I love Goodland. There's a lot of great people here, and it's a good place to raise kids for sure.
It is, and I can second that. There's so many of us out there that have been divorced, and it's tough, man. It's a tough time, especially if you have kids, right?
It is hard.
I went through it, and I could have taken that path too, right? I could have just took off, packed my shit up, headed back to Florida, South Florida. I had job opportunities. There's no way in hell I could leave my kids.
No.
I couldn't do it, man.
That was
just
my
like that
thought
kid out
process.
there in the driveway. I love that kid. He's my world. My daughter. They're my worlds. I could have never done that, and and you get through things, and you have I don't know about you, but you have forgiveness and these different things, and that's a process too. It's all a process, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot that goes through that, man. It's a lot of times in your head,
Yeah.
What could I have done different? What
Totally.
could they have done different?
Exactly.
There's a lot of times you spend it in your head, and I'm lucky. I have a great support system here. I have a lot of family here. I have some great friends that really, surrounded me and the boys and helped us out a lot, and it's been a process for sure. But at the end of the day, again, that's what community is about.
It is.
You friends and family, and I think we forget that sometimes. Is people, what can I do to help someone else?
Right, and it's like you said. There's people around that care, right? About time you don't think they do. That people don't care. There's people that care, right?
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that. Took courage just to share that story.
Oh, thank you.
No, I appreciate you talking about that. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about. So you're no longer the head football coach, but you're still coaching the youth, right?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. When I resigned here from the head football coach position, the next day my DMs were blowing up. I had a lot of offers to go other places, and ultimately chose Abilene. And then when I decided to stay and be here for my boys, I knew there'd probably be some opportunities later on down the line to get back into coaching if I wanted to. But what people don't realize about coaching, especially being a head football coach, is how much time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears and things that you're constantly putting in effort to take your program to the next level. And
so are you constantly reviewing film and scouting?
Watching film during the season. It's I would finish a game, we'd get done with the game, I would upload the film. I always tried to have a family type atmosphere at our house. We'd
With your coaching
gather
staff?
our coaching staff together and just kind of decompress. And we didn't really talk football for the most part. We would try and just enjoy each other's company.
Kind of digress, kind of not disengage, but kind of
disassociate from football.
Free yourself for a while.
And then when everyone would go home, usually I would try and watch film for an hour or so just to kind of play it back in my head. And then the next morning you're waking up and you're doing stats, and then you're trying to exchange film with the next team, and then you're doing game plans for the next. And I would try and take the afternoons and evenings off, and then get back at it on Sundays, and have a coaches meeting Sunday night, where you're trying to get the game plan implemented so you can tell the kids on Monday what we're doing. And it's just a lot of time and effort, weights in the summer, camps, and that's just part of the job. And I loved the grind of it. I enjoyed it, but it just wears on you.
Yeah.
And so, I knew I'd have opportunities to get back into it if I wanted to at some point, whether that was here or maybe moving somewhere else. I just, like I said with the kids, I wanted to stay close and kind of have them, give them some stability. But Jax is a 4th grader, and he played last year, and I enjoyed being a dad, just watching in the stands.
So I want to ask you that. I'm glad you brought that up. What is it like being a dad, and you not coaching anymore? Did it kind of help you? Did it give you the freedom to be a dad?
Yeah, for a while it was hard at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you see something that you think your kid should be doing a little better. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there were some times at halftime I'd go down and say, hey, that tight end's kind of whooping your butt as a defensive end. So here's the technique you can use to kind of go against that bigger dude.
Yeah.
Like, I did that a couple times, and I realized, like, hey, he has coaches. He needs to be coached by his coaches, and because at the end of the day, sometimes we're always dad.
Right.
Dad, come on,
Right.
So, I enjoyed the dad part, just watching my kid play, because I try to tell him that all the time. Like, I love watching you play.
Yeah.
There's always something I could probably say, hey, you could do this better, or you did this really well. But at the end of the day, kids need to just hear, hey, I love watching you play.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. And so anyways, this year they were kind of on me in the springtime about, hey, we could use some help, 3rd and 4th grade. And I had kind of told no to a bunch of people on coaching here and in neighboring communities and stuff. And I said, I kind of just enjoy my time off right now. And they got to the close to the season, and they needed help. So I asked Jax, I said, hey, are you okay with me helping coach? Do you want me to help coach? If you say no, I won't do it. And he goes, yeah, Dad, I want you to coach. So it's been a really humbling experience to go from coaching 16, 17, 18-year-old kids down to, 9 and 10-year-olds, trying to teach them the game and how to play the right way. And
now,
awesome.
Are you the head coach on the 4th grade?
No, I'm an assistant coach.
Okay, so how is it going from being a head coach to an assistant coach on the sidelines? Is it hard? How do I say this? Is it hard not to overstep your bounds, being that you've been in that position before, coaching high school football? Or do you find yourself kind of relaxed and actually being able to step back and let the head coach coach?
Do you have those urges that sometimes,
yes,
that you want to kind of be like, hey, we should... But Coach Simmons and Coach Ely and I, we have a pretty good working relationship, and I have a lot of respect for Coach Simmons for stepping up into that role, and and he's the one that really originally approached me and said, hey, if we have a spot, would you be willing to help? And I told him in Walmart in March that, if you get down to it and you need help, I'll help you. And, and he's a guy that even youth coaches, and I respect that, because I started as the film guy. When I got here my first year, I was the film guy for Coach Teeter. When he was here, and they didn't have a spot to coach, so I just volunteered my time to go film their games. And so being able to start at some point and continue, and Coach Simmons says, I've been watching YouTube videos on youth coaching, and we have to take certification classes and stuff. And so he's worked really hard to not only with off-season weights and practice plans. Like, you respect the guy that's putting his time. And
right.
When, youth coaches don't get paid anything to do that. That's just them volunteering their times for kids. And so, I'm not going to overstep my boundaries with him. Yep. He'll ask me some things sometimes, and I'll give him my opinion. But
that's pretty cool.
It's a
good
working relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, going back to the head coach, you're talking about all the hours you put in. I mean, you were married then, and the coach's wives, the head coach's wife, it's a lot of sacrifice for them too, right? I mean,
absolutely.
The wives tagging on you saying, "Are you going to start that grill out there?" And you're in there watching game film. I mean, and every Friday night is 8 up.
Yeah, you're right. For you start in early August, and you're not really done till the end of October, and your weekends are tied up. You still got kid activities you got to get to, and I'll give my ex-wife props. She did a great job of handling, at home with the kids. The kids would come to practice every once in a while, but she was at home, and I would come home at 6:30 or whatever, and she'd have dinner ready. So I mean, the coaches' wives don't get the props that they need, because they're handling a lot when kids are gone. And I know
they're special. They're special people. Huh?
Yeah. In every home game we would have something at our house where people would sign up to bring some sort of food or whatever, so crock pot meals or whatever, and we just enjoy each other's company. So coaching wives, there's a special place in heaven for those ladies. I would have to agree, because I've talked about maybe volunteering for coaching, or even just being a motivator, not so much coaching, but hell, Juda'd have to drive to the games by herself. Yeah,
or find a ride.
Well, and I was lucky to, my mom lived here for a while I was coaching, and so, my ex-wife and her and my kids would drive to the game, and that's one thing, they never missed a game. We were 4 hours away, 5 hours away. They would be there, and that was really important to me at the time, and that they supported me like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Football is a family game, because if you don't have everyone bought into what's going on,
right,
it can go south quick, and everyone's kind of going to be in on your path, your journey, your goals, and it's
hard. It's hard too, right, as the head coach, right? Like I can only imagine, right, because you're dealing with 22 guys out there on the field, 11 guys at a time, right, and you have some kids who are football players. And this may come across wrong, and I'm sorry, but this is Rock Your Kool podcast, or Whiskey Truth. I don't know what I want to call the podcast yet. But anyway, you have some kids that are football players, and some, they go out for football, right? And it's tough, right? It's like a psychology game, right? I can get after this kid. I can't get after this kid because their parents going to be in bitching Monday morning. I can say it. I don't work for USD 352, so I'll just speak for you. But I can only imagine, right? I can only imagine. Or there's, in this day and age, like, there's no accountability on the field, on the football field, where, when Chayton comes home from a game, and I don't mean to include him on this podcast, because he don't want no part of it. He just wants to play football. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to light into his ass. The next parent ain't going to do that, because their kid can't do nothing wrong. The coach needs to coach him, or the coach needs to do this, or the school. I can't imagine being a school teacher today, right? Their kids are little shitheads, disrespectful at home, talk poorly to you as a parent, and then you hand them off to the school teacher, and you're supposed to fix them. I couldn't imagine that, right?
It can be difficult in some situations.
So you get after the disrespectful little shit, and then all of a sudden the parent comes in and is just as disrespectful. I couldn't imagine. I think I'd get fired as a teacher.
I'll be honest. I've had some really good parents,
and there's good ones out there really too. So we're not discrediting those.
I've had some ones that are difficult, but at the end of the day, you both want what's good for the kids.
Yes,
and that's something you have to always keep in the back of your mind when you're dealing in situations. Is we both want what's best for the kid.
And I love that too, because that's a good point. Like football, for example, right? That kid may be acting out at home, but football could be a great outlet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was for me.
Or the right teacher could provide that kid that positive influence or whatever it is. So I may be saying what I'm saying, and there's those kids out there and there's those parents out there, right? We wonder why the kids act like that. Go meet their freaking parent, right? I'm just being real, okay? This is my podcast. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But the point is, there's a lot of teachers out there that provide a lot of good input to the kids, as well as the coach. The football could be a great outlet to that kid and actually kind of transform that kid, right?
Oh, what it comes down to is relationships.
No, I think what you're saying, Chase, on the relationships, I really think really life comes down to that, right? I mean, whether it's a teacher or a coach, establishing that relationship. And this isn't all about, what I was talking about earlier. I mean, I'm just being real, right? If you're real with yourself, you're getting me, right? But I do think it comes down to relationships. And you were talking about derby cars and different things. If you can understand that and tap that guy's soul, that kid, that student, or whatever his interest, right? You can actually steer the whole situation down a different direction, right?
That's true. And again, you can't do that unless you build a healthy relationship with that kid. They don't care how much you know; they care how much you care. That's a lot of thing. You could be the most knowledgeable football coach out there. Nick Saban could come in and coach a high school football team, but if those kids don't feel like they care, that he cares about them, it's not going to matter.
That's right.
And that's what it is. I think it's always been like that, but it's been a big emphasis in the educational realm or world now, is building relationships with those kids so they trust you and they listen to you and respect you. And back in the day that was just expected, but now they need to see what they're getting out of it too. And that's how things have changed a lot, even in the 15 years I've been in the educational world. So
I mean, it really has evolved, right? I mean, everything's like the way you were parented or the way I was parented at home. It's not that way now, and the kids respond differently, right? I mean, their attention span is really small too, with social media and everything else, all the electronics. Have you ever noticed their attention spans shorter?
Oh, so much. We, because of COVID, we went back to block schedule. So 1.5 classes, 4 classes a day, so alternating days. And the reason for that was we didn't want to have kids mix classes 7 times a day when COVID was kind of going around. So we went back to block schedule, and especially today on the devices where they're flipping to a new TikTok every 10 seconds. You know what I mean? That was difficult. And so this year we've gone back to 7 every class every day for 50 minutes, and kids are responding a lot better to those shorter class periods. And then, hey, okay, well, let's do our math, but then in 50 minutes I'm moving back to English and then PE. And I think that just like you said, the attention span is a lot different now than it was.
And we really got to be adaptable, right? I even know in my work spot, I'm 50 years old and I work with guys that are younger than me. They're superstars and I love them. They make me look good, right? And I reward them for it. But I have to be able to adapt to those different generations, right? Because I can't stay old school, X generation, hardcore on certain things, because it's not going to work and I'm not going to build a team.
Absolutely.
Right? They're not going to work for me. They're going to go the other direction. And I think you as a football coach have probably experienced that. And a lot of times too, I mean, you guys got to be under, I mean, I'm talking to you, Coach Mosier, or any coach out there. I mean, you guys got to be under a lot of pressure too, right? You're dealing with seniors, you're dealing with upperclassmen, and there's probably a lot of pressure from parents and all these different things going on, right? There's probably a lot to it. I always thought to myself, if a parent wonders why I'm not playing their kid, I always thought to myself, come watch practice. Or why don't you come to game film so I can show you what little Johnny's not doing out there or not doing in practice, right? That's why your son isn't playing. But I'm not a coach too. And there's a lot that you're juggling with. But I agree, we got every kid's a little bit different, and you got to tap into them differently to get different outcomes out of them. And there's a lot of great teachers out there. I think USD 352 is full of them. There's a lot of great coaches, a lot of great people out there, and kids are great. But I think it comes back down to like love, right? Kids want to feel loved. They want to feel appreciated, even the ones that you think are little shitheads. They still want to feel those things, right? That we're born with. They're God-given. They want to feel like there's something
important.
Yeah. They want to feel heard. I mean, that's the truth of it, right? I mean, I can be a tough guy, but I want to feel that way too.
Yeah, it comes down to relationships, and part of that too is communication nowadays. I think we've
huge.
lost a lot of ability to communicate, because instead of doing this, we're texting and things like that, and we're not communicating our needs or our feelings to a point. Now, I'm not talking football. I guess sometimes you got to do that, but at the end of the day, communicating face to face. How many kids are texting their friends all the time instead of sitting down and having a conversation? And that's you lose a lot of context.
You really
lose
do.
A lot of tone when you're communicating via technology nowadays, and I think that's just something we need to try and get back to. But in today's world, it's hard.
I even hate with my wife, like if I'm finding myself texting her a lot, I mean, I'm like, this sucks, man. Like, it sounds like she's pissed off at me, and I'm kind of pissed by the way that sounded. But if we were talking, I probably would have read it differently, and I could hear her sexy voice. And if we did that a little bit more, and I'm trying to be better about that. I'm trying to talk to her and phone her up a little more, and having more of those conversations with her that, and get off this damn phone all the time.
And it's hard because, I mean, it's hard. I think you fall into routine sometimes. You fall into these things that, you think that's not healthy, but you don't speak up on it.
Yeah.
And it's in any aspect, work, home, school, friendships. It's all about, communicating, and I think we do more of that face-to-face conversation.
Totally.
You lose a lot in that text and
you do.
Tone, like I said, tone.
You do. It's
context and things like that. So.
Well, hey, there's something I want to comment on you with before I'm trying to make my videos shorter, these podcasts, but man, it's hard.
I'm sure you get on the rolls, man.
You get on a good conversation, and I want to keep them to 10 minutes, but I don't know if you guys have ever done this before. Try doing that and keep it to 10 minutes. So I'm sorry this is going so long. We hope you subscribe to our channel. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But if you do, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and share your comments, whatever. But before we leave, I want to talk to you about, I heard you on the radio with Ross Volkmer. I did not realize you did radio work, but dude, it was badass.
Oh, thank you.
It was badass. I think the reason I liked it so much, I thought Ross is great. I commented about him on the last video. That guy's all over the freaking place, isn't he? Like traveling around?
He goes all over the place doing not only Goodland stuff, but Northwest Tech, and if Goodland's not doing something, then there's a playoff game of something, like St. Francis, Hoxie. Like he's been all, he does, preparation is top notch.
Maybe we can get him on some night.
I think he'd be great.
Think he'd have a beer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. But enough about Ross. I want to talk about you adding to Ross's show. Ross is great. Ross, if you're listening to this, I'm going to tell you right now, you're badass, dude. I got family in California listening to you, family in Colorado listening to you, and obviously family here in Kansas listening. You do a great job. But I want to, but you adding to it with having that, being a head coach and being really tapped in and getting technical, you're adding like content to what he's doing. And for the listener out there that may not know a lot about football, you're literally adding to it and adding a lot. There's a lot of substance between both of you guys. I mean, I think it's a really good dynamic.
I appreciate that. I've had a lot of compliments on our broadcast, and that's, when I kind of got asked to do that, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I actually, when I went to college out of high school, that's what I was trying to do. I studied broadcast media for a semester, and then I was doing part-time stuff in Hayes for Hayes High and TMP, and making $25 a game, and it was a lot of fun.
Was that like beer money back then?
That was my beer money. That was my beer money in college, and
we're adults here. We can talk about this.
Yeah.
If you're a kid, I'm 50. He's 30 something. So
that's right.
We're adults here. We're gonna talk about adult stuff, okay? And if you don't want your kids watching it, tell them not to watch it. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I did a lot of that in college, had a good time, and decided I want to switch tracks to get to teaching and coaching. And so I didn't do radio. I mean, Jay Sanderson, that was the radio guy here for a long time, and Bo Tianson, a friend of mine, and then now Ross. They'd have me on the Morning Blitz every once in a while, and we'd do some cool things. And
it's very cool. I love it.
And then when my Friday nights freed up, not coaching football anymore, I did the home games last year. This worked out with the schedule with my kids to do the home games, and this year I kind of told Ross that we'd be able to do every game. But
so sometimes you guys are up on top. You're not in the crow's nest. You're actually up on top in the elements, right?
Yeah. Ray, thank God it was warm, but it was a little breezy, but we were on top of the press box.
Yeah, you guys are like fighting off mosquitoes and moths up there, man.
Some of these places are not very well equipped with press boxes and not a lot of room. So actually in college one time, Smith Center, when they were going through their 4 or 5 straight state championships, we were covering them, and they played at La Crosse, and it was 25 degrees. La Crosse, if you don't know where that is, a very, very small town south of Hayes, and their stadium was packed. I bet there was 4,000 people there, and we were on a scissor lift that went up above the stadium. That's how small it was, but a scissor lift, 25-degree weather, calling the football game.
Oh, so, my God.
You get into some of that, and we've been lucky here in the GWAC and things like that to have good facilities to go to and things. And but my whole goal doing that was, I enjoy doing it. It keeps me involved with the game. I get to support our kids and Coach Mosier, which is really important to me. And at the end of the day, too, if I can teach the listening audience a little bit about
awesome.
The game,
that's awesome.
That's a plus for me.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate guys like you, and I think guys like Chase, guys like Ross, we go to the football games, but there's not enough appreciation that goes out there for all the people involved. And that goes for the chain gang out there, right? All those volunteers out there that make these football games happen, down to the people taking tickets down there at the gate, to you guys announcing, and to the guys taking care of our football fields and all the USD 352 staff. We appreciate it, and I think that we forget about those people sometimes. We forget about all the people involved.
Total team effort, even the mowing the field, mowing the lines, painting the field. Like, there's just a lot of manpower and hours and volunteer hours that go into hosting an event. And we have one of the best ADs in the area, Marty Lehman, who a lot of times the guy doesn't sleep. He'll go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock, get up at 3 o'clock, and he's out getting the field ready for a Friday night game. And Mr.
Is he the one that paints that thing?
No, Kenny Studer and his staff paint that. But Marty Lehman will be out there at, like I said, 3 or 4 in the morning, putting out the yard signs and the pylons and getting stuff ready. We have custodians that do their part. Even Mr. Bierman has mowed lines at the practice field.
Yep.
Like, it's just a total team effort.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That's what community is about.
Isn't that great? Our little community that we live in, all these people that are doing this stuff. I think you ought to work on getting Marty on here, man, coming in the workshop.
He would be a good guest.
Seems kind of cool, but I don't know him that well.
He's got some good stories. If you didn't know, Marty Lehman used to be he used to be a college strength and conditioning coach. He was on Bill Snyder's staff at K-State, and then went with Jim Levitt down to South Florida. So he lived in Tampa for a while.
So he's kind of a badass.
Yeah, he's got some good stories, man, in his days as a college strength and conditioning coach. And
Marty, if you want to come on this show, I'll have a couple cold IPAs in that refrigerator over there.
Absolutely, Marty. You got to get on here, man.
Love to have him on here.
Absolutely.
But no, I think like Chase is saying, I mean, there's so many stories like what he's talking about Marty. I didn't know none of that about him.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was him and his wife Jen, who's our school counselor.
She seems cool.
She's awesome. She is a phenomenal counselor. Does a great job. We are so lucky to have them, and they ended up having their girls, and they got out of there and said, I think we want to go back to Kansas. And so they were at Syracuse for a long time, and we were lucky enough to get them up here. And they've done a phenomenal job. We're very lucky to have those.
That's
folks.
awesome. That's awesome. And I'm trying to think of some other people that I'm missing. I keep telling myself, the bus drivers out there.
Oh yeah.
All you bus drivers taking our kids to these games. I know when I come home at night, I'm tired. These bus drivers have got to be tired.
Absolutely.
You know, I know for the football team, it's always Cleve, which is Chayton's stepdad. Cleve, we appreciate you, man. You're rocking that school bus. And
absolutely.
We appreciate you. We appreciate all you bus drivers out there doing that stuff. And I don't want to do one of these podcasts without, mentioning people like that. Because
it takes a village, man, to put these events on. Just think
it really
about
does.
That. I know for a fact, it's still the middle of football season, and but we have the big topside tip-off basketball tournament that happens in December, and those people are working their tails off already, getting ready for that. So there's a lot of things in this community that happen, and people behind the scenes that do some great things to get things here in Goodland, and that's everywhere. I mean, small communities, they gotta, especially in today's world where we gotta work together to get things done.
Yeah, we do. Well, guys, we appreciate you watching. Babe, if you're watching this, I love you. I know you're probably shaking your head, but I still love you. Anybody anything else you want to add out there?
Hey, I appreciate having me on, man.
I appreciate you coming.
This is great. I love how good you are to my kids, and how
they're great
how
kids.
supportive you are of Goodland in general, and Goodland athletics, and it's been awesome.
And I'm glad. My family. Chayton is the 4th generation here. He's either my grandparents graduated from Goodland High School in 1950, so they've been wearing that Cowboys brand for a long time. And I graduated from Colorado, but I always wanted to be a Goodland Cowboy, and I want to ride for the brand too. I'm glad both my kids have graduated here. My 3 step kids have graduated here. I love this little town.
I was a cowboy in Abilene Cowboys.
Oh, is that right?
I if anyone from Abilene watches this, I'm sorry, but this was black and gold is a lot better looking than orange and brown. That was our.
I bet.
Colors. Yeah. So black and gold, I can look a little slimmer in the black for sure.
Oh, me too, man. That's why I'm wearing black. If you guys notice, I got like a nipple shot here. We're like nipples up. Because, man, my gut's gotten freaking huge. When you get so fat and your gut gets so fat that every morning you got to find the right height of seat to put on your shoes, you probably need to start doing something different, right? Yeah, or your shoestrings are tied off to the side instead of right on top.
I was there at one point.
Yeah, you're getting fat, right?
Yep.
I got to lay off the sweets and probably the IPAs, and this winter I plan on doing that. But if you guys are out there, share these videos out. We're sorry it went so long, but we had some good content here. We hope you appreciate it. Share them on Facebook, share them on YouTube. And we appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.